Two explorers were on a jungle safari when suddenly a lion jumped out in front of them. "Keep calm," the first explorer whispered. Remember the book that we read about on wild animals? If we stand perfectly still and look the lion in the eye, he will turn around and run. "Sure," replied his companion. "You've read the book, I've read the book, but has the lion read the book?" So now we're going to continue our study that we're going to do for 9 weeks over the Old Testament experience. We're looking at different people and events of the Old Testament. So last week we looked at Joshua, and we looked at when he took over Moses and how he handled the fear that was going into the situation, and how what God has laid out, how we should handle that fear that we face in life. So now we're going to look at Daniel at the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and the persecution that they faced. So if I was to say the book of Daniel, what would be the first thing that popped into your head? Maybe it was something like this.
Well, it's not so scary down here. It's a little musty, not so scary. Oh no, what am I gonna do? It looks like I'm gonna end up as Lion too. Even though he still didn't know what to expect, Daniel felt better when he remembered that God was taking care of him, even in the lion's den.
Alright, so you might have been cooking with Daniel in the lion's den, either VeggieTales, Sunday school, in the Bible, the picture Bible. Whatever it might have been, that might have been the first thing in your mind when you think of the book of Daniel, Daniel and the lion's den. Or maybe it's this.
I don't know what I did. Sorry.
I was working on that.
I'm getting there.
Is everyone comfortable?
No.
Good.
Rat, I can move my arms. Benny, you don't have any arms. Oh.
Will you or will you not sing the song?
Well, you see, sir, our parents taught us to stand up for what we believe in. And God wants us to do what's right.
And there's a lot of stuff in that song that's not right.
So, we don't mean to be a bother.
We hope you understand. But we cannot sing that song.
I understand, boys.
You do?
Oh, yes. I understand that you're bad buddies.
Remember how his parents said that God would always be watching out for us?
Yeah.
I sure hope you were right.
Gonna be in big trouble. Nobody's ever gonna stand up to me again.
Hey, boss, how many guys did we throw into the furnace? Well, it looks like 4 guys. eyes in there now, and one of them's real shiny. One more thing, boss. They ain't burning up.
Right! Jack! Betty! Come out of there!
So whatever it might be, when you think of the book of Daniel, it's probably one of those two stories. It's something you heard as a little kid. So let's look at, before we dig into our text for now, let's get some background on Daniel. This was a major prophet book. Remember what the difference between a major and a minor prophet is?
Major is more about.
Gotta use them in a bigger way.
It's as simple as the size of the book. Major prophets, all it is, their books are bigger, and the minor prophets, the books are smaller. So what Daniel tries to do what the book of Daniel tries to do is it tries to emphasize the truth that God is in control of world history. This idea that God is a sovereign God. What does it mean that God is sovereign? It means that all things are under God's rule and control, and that nothing happens without His direction or permission. So this book was written by. So who were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Someone read Daniel 1 through 7.
And for 7?
Yes, 1 through 7.
In the third year of
There's hard names if you don't know them, just stay there first. Letter.
In the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the king of Babylon came to Jerusalem to besiege it, and the Lord delivered Judah, the king of Judah, into his hands, along with some of the articles from the temple of the god. These he carried off to the temple of God of Babylon, and put in the treasure house of his god. The king ordered the chief of his court official to bring some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility. Young men without any physical defenses, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning and well informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for the 3 years, and after that they were to enter the king's service. Among these were Judah, Daniel, Hezekiah, Meshach, and Azariah. The king's official gave them new names. Daniel, the name of all those names.
Okay, so what that last verse shows is that when they came from Judah, they had a different name. And King Nebuchadnezzar renamed all three of them, and then also renamed Daniel. So the names that they were assigned of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would have all included or referred to various Babylonian gods. And this event happened in the year 603. That's years before Christ. So my goal for our time tonight is that we see the persecution that these three men faced and look at the persecution that people face today. So let's pray and we'll dig in. Lord, just thank you for allowing us to come this evening and the rain that you brought us. And as we dig into your text, we see something new, see something different than the stuff that we've grown up hearing about these three men. That we see the life that they lived and the persecution that they faced, and the persecution that people still face today. I pray in the name of Amen. Turn over to Daniel 3. Will someone read verses 1 through 6?
Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold. His height was 60 cubits and his width 6 cubits. He set it up at the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. And the king Nebuchadnezzar sent word to gather together the satraps and administrators, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the judges, and the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image in which King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So the satraps and the administrators, the governors, the counselors, treasurers, and judges, the magistrates,
Yeah, they're listed first.
Then all the officials of the provinces gathered together and dedicated to the image of King Nebuchadnezzar had set up and stood before the image of Nebuchadnezzar. Then a herald cried out, "To you it is command, O people of nations and languages, that at a time you hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, and symphony with all kinds of music. You shall fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery flame."
Yes. Alright, so this image that Nebuchadnezzar built would have been made out of wood and then covered with gold. It wouldn't have just been completely built out of gold. And it was 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide. This is 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. Does anyone have any idea how big that is compared to something in our world today?
90 feet tall?
90 feet high, 9 feet wide.
I would say the statue.
Okay, so the height, 90 feet would be the height of a 10-story building. Then it would be a width of a room that was 9 feet by 12 feet. And comparing this to Goliath, he was only 9 feet tall. So this was 90 feet was how big this statue was. Goliath was only 9 feet tall. So this room is about 7 feet 10 inches tall. And the 9 feet by 12 feet room would be from this piece of tape right here to the wall to that wall. That'd be a 12 by 9 foot room. So 9 feet and then 12 feet deep. If people are not sure what the image represents, it could have been him or one of the other gods that they would have had, or just something random. So it's located about 6 miles southeast of Babylon. We showed the next slide. Alright, so Babylon's right here, so it would have been about in that area right there. So why do you think Nebuchadnezzar built the statue tall and not wide? Does it make you think? Okay. You would think it'd be easier in that day to build it wider because they don't have the tools we had today. Other reasons? That was the main reason, so that people would see it. Because they'd taken over the people in Jerusalem. They'd taken over Jerusalem. So they want people, he wants people to see the mighty of him, how mighty he is, and that people can see it all over. So Nebuchadnezzar summoned his officials to the image, for what he probably intended to be a demonstration of his loyalty to him. So that now that he's taken over Jerusalem, he wants to see how many of these people that he has working for him are actually loyal to him. So if you look at the list of who was summoned, you have the Straps. There was the highest political officials in each province. The prefects were the military chiefs. The governors were the heads of sections of the provinces. The counselors were the highest ranking judge, what we call today as the Supreme Court. The treasurers were superintendents over the treasury, which is pretty obvious. Judges were the secondary judges, who have been like county judges of our day. And the magistrates were the low-level legal officials, or we would say it today as sheriffs. So the Babylonians worshipped many gods. So this would not have been they would have been summoned to worship just one god. So this can be seen as not being a worship service, but as a dedication service. Because they wouldn't have just been worshiping this one god, it would have been a worship service. So if you look back in chapter 2, if you look farther into Daniel, you see that Nebuchadnezzar has been having many dreams that Daniel was interpreting for him. So it can be assumed because of this that he was kind of worried about who would be loyal to him. So the people who were summoned were told that they would hear the sound of 6 instruments and all other kinds of music, that they were to fall down and worship the image Nebuchadnezzar made. If they didn't do it, if they didn't obey, they'd be placed into a burning furnace or blazing furnace. So all of them did what they're commanded except for 3. Well, someone read verses 8 through 12. We'll see the charges against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Therefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and accused the Jews. They spoke and said to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, who lives forever, you, O king, have made a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the gold image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast to the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews who have set over the affairs in the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not paid due regard to you, and they do not serve your gods or worship the gold image which you have set.
Alright, so the nobles came forward and denounced the Jews. In other words, they were being snitches. They were telling on the Jews what they had not done. So they told Nebuchadnezzar, may the king live forever. What they're really saying is, we want to move up the ladder. So we're going to be snitches and tell you what the Jews are doing. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would have held positions of office, one of the positions that we listed in the text. And so the nobles wanted to gain that position. They knew that if these three people were killed, then there'd be three positions up for grabs. Do we ever let negative motivation take over that causes us to do something we normally would not? Do we ever let negative motivation take over that causes us to do something we normally would not?
So you can, like, when you're upset and stuff, or angry, stuff like that?
You let negative motivation, like for them, they have the chance to climb up the ladder by telling other people. We never let negative motivation influence us.
Mm-hmm.
They tell the king, Your Majesty has issued a decree that we were supposed to, the people there were supposed to fall down and worship. And whoever does not will be thrown into the furnace. So they probably came in very dramatic, very much being tattletales of what these Jews have done or haven't done. The charges that they were facing was disregarding the king's command concerning pledging allegiance by bowing before the image. So this goes back to what I said earlier. The king was wanting to see who would be loyal to him. And he found out that he would not bow down. He found out these three men would not be loyal to him. For them, death was more preferable than disobedience. So this does sound like they were willing to be persecuted for their faith. That sounds like they were willing to be persecuted for their faith.
Thank you.
So let's look at the response of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and the extension of the king's commands. We're going to look at verses 13 through 23. Furious with rage, Nebuchadnezzar summoned Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men were brought before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my God or worship the image of gold I have set up? Now when you hear the sounds of all the instruments again, if you are ready to fall down and worship the image I've made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, King Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your God or worship the image of gold you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude towards them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and throw them into the blazing furnace. These men, wearing their robes, turbans, and other clothes, were bounded and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent and the furnace so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took out Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. So he responded to this news with anger. He got furious at them. It seems that he took their disobedience as a personal attack, and it was an attack of their defiance of authority. So he summons for them. And he regroups and decides to try to give them a second chance. So he tells them again that when these instruments play and this music plays, to bow down before this image. And then he reinstates the punishment for their disobedience and tells them that if they don't, they're going to be thrown into this furnace. So failure to worship reflects disbelief in the king's God, which is evident these these Jews' lack of being willing to do the things the Babylonians would do. So in chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar has witnessed and testified to the sovereignty of Yahweh, but he clearly did not believe that even he could save the accused. So when Daniel interprets his dream, and when he had his dream, he experienced what Yahweh had done for him, what God had done for him. But he still did not believe that God could save the ones that he accused. He said that what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? He sees himself as the top God. He sees himself above even the gods that they worship, the Babylonians worship. The three young men told the king that they did not need to give him an answer. They said that we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. They said they believed that the Lord could deliver them from any fiery furnace, and that he would deliver them. They had the faith enough to not just know that he would do it, but even say that he will deliver us. But they also acknowledge the possibility that it may not be God's will. It may be God's will not to deliver them. God does not always save the lives of his children when they are facing martyrdom. Why do you think this is? God does not always save the lives of his children when they face martyrdom. Why do you think this is? There's really not a right or wrong answer that we can even know. I think it comes down to there's no greater gift than this to lay down one's life for a brother or another. They had no question about God's ability to save them. And they got this later on. Jesus was teaching to his disciples. He said in Matthew 10:28, he said, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." What does this verse mean? Verse said, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell."
They know we have to
So we all just stand up for what you believe in. If people are attacking you for your faith, you'll just stand up to that. Whether God would deliver them or not, they refused to serve idols or to bow down before the king's image. They love God more than life itself. And that's the same kind of love we should have for God. So if I was to sum up verse 16, 17, and 18 in one word, that would be faith, or courage. Like we talked about last week, a lot of these people, about every one of these people we're going to look at, during the study, are going to have that courage. They're going to show courage in the situation that they're facing. So, after the second time, he's given them the second chance, he gets even more angry. He gets more infuriated about them. He was the first to heat it to 7 times his normal heat to make an example of them. This does not mean that he took how much they had it heated by and multiplied it times 7. 7 times more is an expression for much more that's used other times in the Old Testament. It probably has that same meaning here also. The meaning would be as high as possible. So he wanted the furnace turned as high as it would go. Now, if he really wanted them to suffer, would he turn the furnace as high as it would go?
No.
Exactly. It should kill them on impact, just like it did to the soldiers. So he had the strongest soldiers tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So he got so hot, and he got so angry and turned it so hot they killed the soldiers who took the man up. This is a testimony of the faithfulness of God's promise to Abraham, and that God would curse those who curse his chosen people. So this furnace would have been shaped like an old-fashioned glass milk bottle, with a large opening to place the ore to be melted. And this would have been the spot that they would have dropped in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So Daniel ends this chapter by looking at God's deliverance and the consequences of his deliverance. And so we have verses 24 through 30. Then Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, "Weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire?" They replied, "Certainly, Your Majesty." He said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. And the straps prefectors, governors, and royal advisors crowded around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair of their heads burned. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angels and rescued his servants. They trusted in him when the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore I decree that the people of any nation or language who says anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be cut to pieces, and their houses be turned into piles of rubble. For no other God can serve in this way." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the land of Babylon. So as Nebuchadnezzar watched what was happening inside the furnace, he marveled to see that the 3 Jews did not perish in the instant. Raising from the sea, he saw them loose from their bonds and walking around inside the furnace. Not only were they alive, but there was also a 4th person with them. So if you were Nebuchadnezzar and you knew that you put 3 people in there, and all of a sudden you looked in there and there was a 4th person, how would you respond?
First, I'd be freaked out that they were still alive.
Correct. So it says that the 4th person had an unusual appearance, and he was like a son of God. He probably meant that this 4th person appeared to be a superhuman or divine, from his viewpoint as a pagan or a non-believer. It seems that the 4th person was either an angel or the angel of the Lord. So Nebuchadnezzar got as close to the large door of the furnace as he could. So it would have stood open to provide a view inside. He called to the 3 victims to come out of the furnace, and they responded obediently this time. Do you think it made Nebuchadnezzar mad that these 3 people this time were so obedient and came out right when he asked them to? Do you think that made him mad?
No.
He's probably freaking out. Just on the cool, you know. Just...
I bet he probably sat there for about 10 minutes.
Right, so he describes them as the servants of the Most High God. But this time, the king is describing the greater power to their God than any other. And that he completely delivered them as they said he could, and the leaders of the Babylonian Empire had witnessed the miracle. They had escaped from every form of destruction, even the smell of smoke. It's most likely that probably even Nebuchadnezzar even smelled like smoke just because it was coming off of it. But yet they didn't. So the rope that bonded them, which was a symbol of Nebuchadnezzar's power over them, was gone. Probably burned as soon as they were put into the fire. God was protecting them before they even entered the furnace. The soldiers that threw them into the furnace died immediately, and God had to be protecting them before they even went into that furnace. He was with them from the beginning. So Nebuchadnezzar's ability to cancel one of his laws and replace it with another is evidence of the might of his personal power. He proved their faith in Yahweh, who had demonstrated himself to be as powerful as his 3 faithful followers had claimed he was. So how does this relate to today? A couple weeks back, I talked about a ministry called Open Doors that serves persecuted Christians worldwide. So the definition of Christian persecution is any hostile experience from the world as a result of one's identification as a Christian, from verbal harassment to hostile feelings. Over 75% of the world's population lives in areas with severe religious restrictions. And many of these people are Christians. 60 countries face persecution from their governments or surrounding neighbors simply because of their belief in Jesus Christ. 322 Christians are killed for their faith, 214 churches and Christian properties are destroyed, and 772 forms of violence are committed against Christians. So why should we in Thai, Texas care about persecuted Christians? The Bible calls us to be the voice for the voiceless. Psalm 82:3 says, "Stand up for those who are weak, and for those whose fathers have died. See to it that those who are poor and those who have been beaten down are treated fairly." As Christians, we are called to take a stand for our persecuted brothers and sisters in Christ. So do you think persecution happens here in the U.S.?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, if we go by the definition of Christian persecution, it's pretty most definitely. I'm going to show you a video that I showed this last summer during our God's Not Dead series about a girl at Columbine High School in Colorado that stood up for her faith.
Yes. Statement of the affirmative. Small words with huge implications. It is so. It is as you say. Yes. 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 Just another day of high school. Everything was fine. Then bam, 46 minutes of utter terror. Starting in the library and ending in the cafeteria with the words, "Do you believe in God?" 17 years old. Faced with death. What made her say yes? Yes, it was saying no to a life of drugs, alcohol, witchcraft, the world. And yes to a life with God. The same God that saved her from a living death, so that in the end, she had courage to say yes. Do you believe in God? In the end, Cassie Bernal had the courage to say yes. What about you?
You have to ask yourself, do I have this type of faith? Is Christian the title I have or lifestyle I live? In ancient Rome, crowds of the tens of thousands would gather in the Colosseum to watch as Christians were torn apart by wild animals. Paul Radar, commenting on his visit to his famous landmark, said, "I stood uncovered to the heavens above, where he sits, for whom they gladly died, and asked myself, could I die for him tonight, to get this gospel to the end of the earth?" He continued, "I prayed most seriously in that Roman arena for the spirit of a martyr, and for the working of the Holy Spirit in my heart." As he worked in Paul's heart, they brought him on his handcuffed way to Rome. Those early Christians lived on the threshold of heaven, within a heartbeat of home, no possessions to hold them back. So we're going to enter into a time of response. Once again, take this time for you. Many people today believe that God inspired the Bible, but they do not believe that He can deliver them from their serious personal problems, much less the problems of the world. Do you believe? I challenge you to pray for these 5 things. Pray for Open Door Ministry, the ministry that they've done for years now, and they're going to continue to do. Persecuted Christians worldwide. U.S. Christians being persecuted here in the U.S. and overseas. The future of the church. That you will be a disciple of Christ, stand up for what you believe. Maybe for the first time tonight, you want to come to know Jesus. Maybe you want to rededicate your life. You became a Christian, but you're not living that Christian life. You want to rededicate your life to Christ. It's time for you to either pray, sing along with the song, or just sit still and know that He is God. All I ask you to do is not talk or mess around.